BBC News at midday. Emergency security measures remain in place in Moscow after yesterday's rebellion by Wagner mercenaries that posed the greatest challenge yet to President Putin's authority. Wagner fighters came within a few hundred miles of Moscow after taking control of Rostov-on-Don near the Ukrainian border. The group's leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, later called off the advance. The Kremlin says neither he nor his forces will be prosecuted, despite Mr. Putin's threats of harsh punishment. Vitaly Shevchenko from BBC Monitoring says the whereabouts of Mr. Prigozhin are unknown and he's been uncharacteristically quiet.
All this talk of Prigozhin going to Belarus is based on just one source, remarks by the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, who said that this was the deal. We've not heard anything from Yevgeny Prigozhin since yesterday evening, and since that time, his social media accounts, the usual channels that he uses to communicate, they've been silent.
Rishi Sunak has insisted the government must hold its nerve amid rising interest rates. The Prime Minister told the BBC's Sunday with Laura Kuenssberg programme that inflation was the enemy, and he backed the Bank of England's decision to raise the base rate to 5% to try to cool soaring prices. The Shadow Housing Secretary, Lisa Nandy, says the government should do more to protect people from the impact of rising interest rates.
Unless the Chancellor makes sure that these measures that he announced about flexibility for mortgage holders are mandatory, we believe significant numbers of people are going to miss out on any help at all. And there is no answer to this crisis without building more houses. We're unashamedly on the side of the builders, not the blockers.
People across England, Scotland and Wales are unable to use the 999 emergency number this morning because of a technical fault. A backup system is now working, but some police and fire services say they're experiencing residual difficulties. Aruna Iyengar reports.
Police, fire and ambulance services across the UK said there were problems with the emergency 999 number at around 8 o'clock this morning. BT, which runs the service, admitted there'd been a system failure, but now says the service is operating using a backup platform. This means calls can be processed as normal. People had been advised to call 101 in an emergency or 111 for health emergencies. BT has not yet said what caused the issue.
Ballots are being cast in Greece in the country's second general election in 5 weeks. The new vote was called by the former Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis after his party fell just short of securing an overall majority last month, and he rejected forming a coalition. A plane that was used by Argentina's military government 4 decades ago to throw political activists into the sea has been returned to Buenos Aires. The aircraft was tracked down in the United States. Its return is a victory for campaigners who had spent years trying to find planes that were used by the government to disappear its opponents. Many of the victims' bodies have never been found. Mabel Carriega's mother was one of those thrown from the plane.
For us, it's a matter of history. The plane has to be here in a museum. After having found it and identified it, this country cannot allow the plane from which our loved ones were thrown alive into the sea to continue flying.
The Glastonbury co-organiser Emily Eavis says tonight's headliner, Sir Elton John, has carved out a set that will be completely unique to the festival. He's the closing act on the Pyramid stage, following performances by artists including Blondie and Yusuf, formerly known as Cat Stevens. He told the BBC he was looking forward to performing.
I've got a pretty good catalogue of songs which stretch back to like 1965 or 66, let's say. And I've been there, done that. And of course, I went away for a while too. So I got a life and I came back. I mean, I've got a story to tell. And I think it'll be very suitable.
BBC News.